What's going on, Gil? What's going on, my man?
Hey, man, I just wanted to watch that clip some more, man. You look hot in that thing with that podcast and the studio going on there. That shit was hard.
Dude, listen, I paid like, $1,000 just to, fake those images in there for me. So
Dude, that's
what's
the
going
best
on, my man?
$1,000, man.
Hey, listen, I'm excited, guys. So for those of you guys, a lot of you guys know I've talked about Gil Ramos a lot. He's one of our partners with EXP. Gil has been in the business. Gosh, Gil, how long have you been in the business now?
As a licensed agent, because I was doing some unlicensed stuff, I'll be very honest with you. I did the wholesaling, everything before that, but I got licensed back in 2005.
Okay, so
Right before everything just went belly.
An old dog in the business. So.
Yep.
Yeah, so a lot of people know we're really excited that you and Nevada are coming, Chris, Nevada, that are actually coming to Knoxville. Gosh, man, less than 2 months now. So
right around the corner.
Right around the corner. So we appreciate that. But man, I wanted to just talk shop today, kind of tell your story a little bit, and on our relationship, how we've got to know each other, and really, you've definitely helped grow my business in a short period of time. I remember, gosh, 6-7 months ago, we flipped this, and you were interviewing me, talking about how while we, took our independent team and actually switched over to KW. So I appreciate you returning the favor. I know you've talked with a lot of my agents, and man, we're excited. We appreciate you hopping on. So for the folks that don't know you, man, Gil, just give everybody a backstory. I say backdrop because you got that awesome backdrop behind you. But everybody, give everybody a little bit of an update about yourself, because I know that you're a previously an exit guy, correct?
Yeah. So, I did the thing that every agent thinks is kind of like the dream, right? You become an agent, you start producing, then you're going to you're a team leader, and then you're like, well, what do I got to do next? Well, I got to be a broker, right? Which, by the way, if you're listening to this, I need to break that dream. It's the dumbest thing we've ever been told. There's a reason why.
Broker too, right?
Huh?
I'm a broker too, right?
Dude, like, I'm just telling you, I'm a broker associate, but like, to have a brokerage and have your license and run everything under your license and go to sleep every night building a business at any time, somebody could just do something silly and just mess everything up and you're in court for months. Like, that's not the dream. And I've done everything. I've done from commercial buildings to mobile home parks to real estate, short sales, foreclosures, stuff like that. But I really love the business, but doing the back end stuff really wasn't my passion. But I did it anyway. I was the #1 broker in the state of Florida for 5 years in a row for my franchise exit. #1 listings, #1 sales, #1 growth year after year. And I took all those awards and I threw them away. They were kind of worthless, right? Because I wasn't really building wealth. The reality is at any given time, if I got hit by a bus, my wife wasn't going to be able to take my business and just take it over, right? That business probably would have failed because I was the business at the time. And that really bothered the crap out of me, right? So this guy one day comes to me, hey, I want to buy your business. He goes, and by the way, I had 3 people come to me and say, hey, I'll buy it for $1 million, 1.4, $1.6 million, but they all want me to be an employee for the company, so they're just going to pay me back my profits. I'm like, that's not a business. That's me just now being a slave to somebody else's business. So I looked at this model and said, I had to change. Something had to change. I was like, I had to have something that I could give to my kids, an asset, something that they could use. If I get tired, they still get paid, right? So that's why we moved to the EXP model. We had 100 agents at the time. And it was scary. I thought I was going to lose some agents along the way. And those agents were like, no, I want to do this right now. Like, whoa, slow down, guys. And we moved 100 agents over. I'm about to hit my 2-year anniversary. And we are at 1,492 agents. Looks like we're going to break that 1,500 agents, sometime this month. And it's been an amazing ride. And you know what's great about it, Jay?
3 days from now,
I sleep well now. I sleep well knowing I'm not going to have to go to court or go to some broker's thing, things of that nature. I get to do the 2 things I love: do business and help people grow. That's my passion. I like to help people grow to the next level, build an empire, and like help you with your teams, help you with your lead generation, help you with, with like, how do you knock down 10, 15 properties for yourself rather than giving it away, that opportunity. Too many agents take that 3% and they trade it for their wealth. Take a 3% commission rather than taking down the deal and using the 3% commission and knocking down the deal. So that's what I do. I help agents go from being a real estate agent to a real estate entrepreneur.
Absolutely, man. And so we own a bunch of rental properties as well. And we're getting north of 3 million at this point. Needs to be 300 million. I watched a Grant Cardone video. Now I'm like obsessed with. I was like, listen, I'm just not
need more doors. Need more doors.
Need more doors. So, well, let's talk about we're going to be talking about how to master listings, and also we're going to be talking about wealth strategies. I had a really great heart-to-heart with my team today after a leadership meeting, and one thing that we were talking about is real estate is very linear, meaning it's one for one, right? You do one action, you get one reaction to that, or when you do one action, get one reaction. And so you sell one house and you get one commission. And so I was telling them you earn income, you invest your income into real estate or investments or yourself, right? And then you live off of passive income, and that's what me and Erica, my wife, are trying to do today. But let's talk about going from an agent, right? Because we've all been there. You've been there. God, man, you said since 2005. I was 15 at the time, just so you know.
Age 48 years old, 6 kids later, and my wife. By the way, we just retired my wife. She had her own law firm. We decided, once we got into EXP, we started building this model. We're like, there's no need for you to work anymore. So she shut down her business. She's finishing her last few clients, and just building the empire, man. If there's no residual and there's no way to duplicate it, it's not worth it. You only get to live once. You shouldn't live you shouldn't live your entire life working unless you want to, unless you're crazy like I am, and you probably. But
yeah, we're gonna have to cut the feed now, so my wife doesn't watch this and she thinks she's retiring at the age of 31. So,
dude, that's awesome, man. How many brokerages you've ever gone to, and they're over there having realtor retirement parties? It just doesn't happen, right?
No,
I didn't even hear that conversation until we moved over into EXP.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a curveball and move right here. I
like it. Yep.
Better.
Yep. Solid.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about that. So that's the agenda, right? That's the long-term strategy on how we build out 2, 3, 5-year game plans. We're rolling into month 7, 8. Going to be coming up on our year mark here in a few months. But let's talk about how we can take an agent and how you've taken yourself from one, you were doing investment deals, wholesale deals, and all kinds of things. Let's talk about how, maybe you transition from doing that to an agent and then building teams and stuff like that. What does that look like? Because I know at our event, and I left earlier in Knoxville, a couple KW guys. One was doing 50 million, the other one's doing 25 million. And I was just literally talking shop. It wasn't an agenda of like, hey, you need to come to EXP. They're happy, and that's cool. But let's talk about how you were able to go from an agent or a wholesaler to an agent to someone that's built a team, and what that transition looks like, because it all starts with working with buyers and then listings. And one thing that we're going to be focused on in our meeting coming August is actually how to become a rock star listing agent and then ultimately build wealth. So talk to me how you made that transition from, an agent to working with buyers and to mastering listings.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I did it kind of an untraditional way. Like some guys come in, they're like, I want to be a listing agent, right? And I decided, and my dad told me, he was a real estate guy. He said, you know what? Here's the one thing I know. On every deal, somebody's getting paid for a buyer and somebody's getting paid for a seller. I don't care what side of the deal you're on, just get paid. And I'm like, deal. So I started working with buyers. That was my gig. But the one thing I did differently was once I put you in a home, I knew that you're now a seller, right? The moment you signed and you own that home, you're going to sell that home. And I might have to wait till you die, but I'm going to be the listing agent of that property, right? So most of my listings came from the buyers I had worked on, and I started building some kind of, and then I started realizing, man, I need to convince these people to sell. So I was like on them, hey man, you need more, you need more. Hey man, you need to buy some investment properties. Man, dude, how come you only have 1 property? Everybody I know has 5. And I just started pushing. And so like I became a listing agent from my buyers. And I think that's, easy way to transition. Like if you've done 15, 25 sales, you get 25 listings waiting to happen. You just have to cultivate that relationship and let people know, hey, by the way, if you sold today, you'd have $73,000 in your pocket. Where do you want to spend that? Right?
Yeah. What are we buying this week?
Yeah, let's go shopping. Right. And by the way, you don't even have to spend all the money. Take that $73,000. We'll put 20 grand on this property here. We'll put 20 grand on this property here. Buy 2 properties, and that'll pay for the property you're in. And then go on a trip with your wife and have a great time. Let's go spend some money, right?
God dang, I'm ready to sell my house.
Let's do it, man.
go, bro.
That's how I came into the listing side. I came in from the buyer side. But no matter what, you got to get in the listing side. And here's why. If you're out there peddling one deal at a time, dude, that's amateur stuff, man. And what we're trying to do at this event is bring you from an amateur to a real estate entrepreneur. We want to bring you to a CEO level. You should be selling 3, 4, 5 homes every single time. In my opinion, you should never settle for less than 9% commission, right? So when you work with a seller, that doesn't mean you have to take 9% from a customer, right? But you work with a seller, you help them find a buyer, there's 6% of your commission right there. You get an open house on there, you get a buyer from that, you get a referral in there. Heck, you can make 12 or 15% on every transaction if you come in with the right intention, right? If you have a proven strategy to make that work.
Say that again, because my brain heard 9%. Walk me through that again.
So on every transaction, right? And I'm very seller focused now, right? So and I'm not saying take 9% from any one client at one time, right? But what I'm saying is, if you're going to sell somebody's house, if you can help them find a buyer, well, that's 6% of it right there, 3 and 3. You find an open house lead in there, you get 3% right there, right? Maybe you get a referral from that client, but for every deal, we should be able to trigger 9, 12, 15% commission, right? We leave too much meat on the table. You know what I find? I find if somebody buys a car, somebody else buys a car. Somebody buys a house, somebody else buys a house, right? Yeah. So you got to trail through and use the referral engine and say, hey, man, who do you know? Who do you know that's falling in love, that hates each other, that just had a baby, right? That's got some space in their house, that's got too much space, who's got a new car, they got a new car, they got to have a new place to park it. They show you all the time that they want to buy. You just have to press in it, right? Press in it. One of my neighbors down the street just bought a nice car, right? It's like, hey man, you're not gonna park that new car in the old garage, man. You got to upgrade, right?
Is he selling now?
Oh, I'm gonna put it in his head. Trust me, that car's too nice for the house he's in.
So you're talking about, so you can get both sides of the deal. That's 6% plus that seller is now and is going to be a buyer on the transition. So I think the agents that naturally an agent comes in and they're thinking they're 2.5%, 3%. And a lot of times, they don't think about the next level. So first off, that's awesome, man.
If you expect more, you get more. Look, dude, I met you at the first time at an event and I realized you were a crusher. Right? You thought differently. You were a disciple of discipline. You're a guy who got results. You get things done, right?
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, you made a decision. I want more, right? And to me, more is the sexiest word on this planet, right? We want more love. We want more money. We want more passion. We want more freedom. We want more, right? We don't want more of the shitty stuff. We just want more of the good stuff, right? Yeah. So, but the thing is more doesn't happen by accident.
Right.
You got to say, hey, I'm going to meet this client here. I can make 15% today. I'm going to have to go through and I'm going to have to figure out who their neighbor is, their cousin, their brother or sister, whatever it takes. I'm going to find 15% from this relationship, right? And that's me giving them more, right? So I'm going to have to work harder to get that. I'm going to give more value to get that, right? But my expectation is I'm not going to leave something on the table. I'm going to go get everything that's there.
Awesome. And so I don't want to spoil too much of it because, man, you're actually giving me a lot of value right now. I mean, I just thought, I'm like, well, clearly I haven't gone out and double-ended enough of my deals. So now I need to go talk strategy on how I can mastermind and ensure that I'm profiting more per deal, which is just, I mean, I had a conversation with an agent in our marketing. We were talking about building relationships, and what I'm hearing is mastering that. But I don't want to dive in too deep on that. So that everyone knows, there's more when they come here in August 3rd. We're going to be hosting it here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So anyone that's even remotely close, y'all need to come out to make it to Knoxville. But let's talk about how, so you went from, you started with buyers, right? You built a database. Those buyers ultimately became sellers, which they all do, right? And one thing I tell people that, almost all of these buyers that are popping in our database, which we used to prospect, FSBOs, expireds, circle prospect, and spend a lot of time there, and we didn't have huge ROI. We did with FSBOs and expireds, but every single seller or every single buyer that's coming into our market, there's probably 50% of those people that have to sell, and they may not live in our state, but like you said, I can go out and get a referral. I know this year alone we'll probably pass somewhere to the tune of about 30 to 40 referrals just in our organization. And I don't think that we've mastered that. So I think there's a lot of room there. But let's transition, because I want to discuss more in person live. But how were you able to go from working as a buyer's agent, transitioning into a seller's agent, working listings, and to building a business? Because you know, from going to having a 100-person organization, having teams. I know you've ran multiple teams at the same time. You're actually right now running multiple teams at the same time.
Yeah. Right now we're running 3 teams.
3 teams. And how do you go from buyer's agent, listing agent, team leader, right, into running multiple teams in a short, I'm not trying to take up an hour of your time, but like, what does that transition phase look like? If you're
here's what I figured out. Like when I was a kid, man, all I wanted to do was like, if I could make $100 in one day, dude, I would be a billionaire in my mindset, right? But what I figured out is if I can figure out how to do that, well, then I can make $1,000 a day, right? And then that was my big goal, man. If I could make $1,000 a day, that would be incredible. Once you figure out how to do one thing and you figure it out and you get really, really good at that one thing, well, why not do it multiple times? I had a good friend of mine who owned a Metro PCS store, and I was like, man, this back when it was really hot, like everybody had Metro PCS. I was like, man, you're making a ton of money here, man. He goes, yeah, this is one of my good stores. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I was like, how much do you make on this store? I'm just curious. He's like, dude, this store will probably make me like $25,000, $30,000. I'm like, what? You're all this to make $25,000, $30,000? I'm like, dude, that's crazy. Because dude, I own 200 of these stores, right? Wow. If you're not if you can figure out how to make X and you can duplicate that many times and you can leverage that, that's the key to building an empire. That's what we're going to be showing you guys at Knoxville.
Yeah, man. So I was actually right before we started this, I left a meeting, and we built a 40-person sales team. We've got a 10-person admin team, and they were asking us like, how do you do that in one place? And I said, we don't. We build up 20 people and we start a new office. Just think about a church, right? A church will start and they'll build up and they'll outgrow one church. And what do? They plant a satellite office. That satellite office ultimately goes out and expands roots and opens up a second one. And so that's what we've done. We started with an office here in Knoxville, and we decided to expand, set up like a satellite office. We didn't even have an office for a long time. And then ultimately we put a satellite office out there, and now we have our second office. And, we've mastered that. Okay, hey, if you can get a team to where they're doing 100 transactions, well, the second 100 transaction is just maybe a couple more admin, and whatever agent count you have to do 100, you have to double, right? It's math. It really becomes math at that point in time. And then you start doing that with offices. Okay, you have 20 people in an office, or you're swelling that office to 30, 40 people. Well, you just branch out and duplicate. And It's crazy. I mean, you just nailed that one on the head. And it's funny. I literally just had this conversation with another agent in our market literally an hour ago. So it's always cool to see. So, well, listen, I know that you have, you've got another call coming up here in a few minutes. For all the people, we've got a bunch of people that have, talked about coming to the event and learning from it. And, my deal is I want to give as much value as I receive. And quite frank, I want to give more value because I want to be a steward of what we're doing. And I genuinely mean that. But for those that may watch this video, what's one message that you would leave that they need to know when they come to, we just lost him. Hold on one second, guys. Gil, I lost you, my man. Oh, and the best part too, Gil. Come on now.
Somehow my battery. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're a circle, not a camera. Turn your camera back on. Oh, you turn your mic off. Dang, Gil, you killed my video, bro. This is the greatest part of the video. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Boom. We're back.
Boom.
Just like that. Hey, man, if you watch this far, here's what I'm telling you. If you watch this far and you got to that spot, I'm going to bring some books. I'm going to give out some free books. If you said, hey, man, I watched that part where the lights went out.
All right. I won't even edit this. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that because that was literally my final question. And
if you were here when the lights went out, man, I got a free book for you.
All right. My man's got a free book for you. So last question, my man. uh, what is one guarantee that we can guarantee and that you will guarantee as far as bringing knowledge to the teams, the agents, the independents, or people that's wanting to get in the business coming to the event in Knoxville? I know I've got an agenda that I want to discuss, but for you and Chris and all the others, what's one thing that they should expect coming to our event?
Listen, man, I'll give you two actually. Right?
All right.
And the one thing is that, you've heard this expression before. Every human being knows, right? If you're not growing, you're dying. So the one thing I can promise you is that you will be growing. That you will get beyond the one little nitbit. Like people sometimes say, hey, if I can go to this conference and I pick up one thing, dude, expect more, right? Expect to get way more than one nugget. In fact, we'll be passing out nuggets. The second thing that I'm going to tell you is that I learned this a long time ago, man. And I say it all the time: curious people make more money, right? I built a 7-figure organization just being curious myself. I went out to different events and I met different people, and that's where I learned some of the stuff. So be curious, come in there with a mindset, and you will fill that. You will fill that up with your curiosity. Take that in your nose, and we'll help you. And we'll do some other stuff together, man. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to partner on some deals. I'm looking forward to being in your market and helping you grow the highest level. We're not going to leave anything out. We'll give you the whole Dropbox. So I won't be selling anything. There won't be any credit card machines or anything like that. I'm just there to give value.
Right on. I may ask for some credit cards. You
can do it.
But Gil promises that he will not. So
I won't ask.
Listen, I appreciate it so much. I know that it's hard with our schedules to link up. I appreciate you sharing this. And the one thing that I can pretty much guarantee, if you guys have made it to this, is we will give significantly more than we'll ever ask in return. So Gil, I appreciate you, my man. I will see you in a couple months.
See you soon, man.
All right, bro. Bye.